Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Brandon Simmons from BrandonSimmons.biz. This is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. And y'all, it's here. It is the regular season finale for 2018 for the Houston Texans. I mean, this seems like only just yesterday we was talking about week one, what to expect, and all this other good stuff. And now here we are getting ready to wrap up the regular season, head right into the postseason, if you will. So we'll talk about all the little postseason junk in a moment, but let me do a quick recap over last week's game. So if you didn't see it, Texans unfortunately lost 32-20, but not before they could actually stage a late fourth quarter comeback led by Deshaun Watson's two touchdowns. Um, so pretty much a couple of thoughts I have on that game in particularly. I don't know why. You tell us to you tell us the end of the year with that kind of junk. Anyway, a couple of key thoughts I had on this game. Basically, it's tough to play streaky teams, and that's what the Eagles are right now. They got this whole thing going on with Nick Foles being their quote unquote playoff savior, whatever they want to call him, or Philadelphia hero, or whatever. They got a whole bunch of like sports mojo going around them right now. So, him coming in, taking over for Carson Wentz, who got hurt, and him knocking off the Rams the week before, and then knocking us off. The city of Philadelphia is lit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hell, he came in last year and he took them to a Super Bowl. So they were already, pretty much excited for that. So the team was just pretty much powered behind that whole movement itself. So when you play a team like that, they're going to play just a little bit better. They're going to have a little bit more intensity. And it starts, with the players on the field, goes all the way up to the coaches as well. They're going to call better plays. So it's going to be tough playing against streaky teams like that. It just is what it is. Hell, you've seen it happen before with teams that were, going into the playoffs. If you remember, like when Aaron Rodgers won his first Super Bowl, the Packers were like a 6 seed or something like that. And so, they had to back into the playoffs, and they ended up taking over getting a Super Bowl win. So it is what it is. One of the key things about that game, and probably attribute this to the little Eagles mojo that they had going on, the Texans couldn't defend the fourth down. I believe the Eagles went at least 3 for 3 on fourth down in that game. And, that's pretty crucial. I mean, yeah, it's fourth and short. All of them were like fourth and short. So, that's just and that falls on the team right there. That falls on the players on the field. You got to have a little bit more heart to stop that and knock that out the way. Hell, you got to have a little bit more heart to like kind of make them second guess that. Not even so much just heart, but just like have better plays to like put them in situations where it's like 4th and 8 or 4th and 10 or something like that, as opposed to like a 4th and 3 or 4th and 2. If it's 4th and 3, 4th and 2, you're trying to make the playoffs, you're going to go for it, basically. But if it's a little bit longer, you're going to second guess about whether or not you want to blow this chance and lose the game. But without that being said, nothing should really just take away from the comeback that was had in that game, especially with all the injuries that was going on. In particular, Demaryius Thomas, he got injured in this game. He tore his Achilles, and so he's out for the year, and that puts us in another bind at wide receiver. We'll talk about that in a few, but also, everybody else was able to kind of step up and do that thing. Hopkins was able to step up. Huge shout out to Vincent Smith, who caught that second touchdown to actually give us the lead in that game, put us up 30-29. So, 30-29 in that game. So, great throw, great catch by Smith himself to, just kind of keep his balance and get that score on the board. So, speaking of Thomas, just to get in a couple of injuries. So, yeah, he got hurt. He's now on IR, and that's a pretty And that's a huge blow to the Texans. Of course we've already had our fair share of injuries throughout the season, but he came in to replace Will Fuller, who suffered a season-ending injury, and so now he has his own like season-ending injury, and at the worst possible time too, right before the playoffs. So Texans are probably they'll scramble around and find somebody to like kind of sign to the roster. I believe they signed somebody from the practice squad earlier this week, and not sure whether or not it's to like kind of fill up Thomas's spot or just kind of give us a little bit more depth on where we're at, because we already gave away Bruce Ellington, and I believe they cut Sammy Coates as well not too long ago. So it's just a tough time right now for injuries, especially in our wide receiver department. We're really hurting for depths right now. So interesting to see how this returns. Since we're on the subject of injuries still, Lamar Miller is expected to return this Sunday against the Jaguars, and so Coach O'Brien, he designated him, good to go, and I believe this is going to be probably the greatest news we could probably receive at one of the most anticipated times we've had in a while. Reason being is that last week without Lamar Miller, our running game was 11 carries for 13 yards. That's pretty bad. And Eagles, they're not that great of a run defense team, but we had Dante Foreman. It was Dante Foreman's first game back, actually. And so, he wasn't doing too hot himself. He was having his little, debut jitters or whatever. And so it was hard for him to just kind of get a rhythm and get things going. Same thing with Alfred Blue. He just wasn't, the same Alfred Blue who could like get you, certain yards on plays. He was Eagles kind of towed him up as well, and so it just was a bad day for our running backs overall. Hopefully this weekend it'll be a whole different story, and everybody will kind of be on the same page and be on the up and up. But definitely Lamar Miller should spark that performance back. He should spark that out of our running backs and get them going to where the team can be successful and pull a win out. So, with that being said, I named this episode the tune-up episode. And basically the idea for this episode comes from this. I don't know if a lot of people remember like how wrestling was or is. I don't know if they still do this or not. But back in the day when I was watching wrestling, every time there was a pay-per-view match coming up, that would always have like the main, participant in one of the big pay-per-view fights. They would always give them a tune-up match. Tune-up match was pretty much, that participant would actually take on an opponent of lower tier, and they kind of take them on and like kind of get ready for that pay-per-view bout and all this stuff. Now wrestling's fake or whatever, but at the time it was like one of the greatest ideas ever. And so with this Sunday, it's going to be a tune-up match, basically. We're taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are pretty much done for the playoffs. Their season ends as soon as that clock hits zero this Sunday. And so they don't really have a lot to play for other than, trying to embarrass us, obviously. So we have to, kind of anticipate that. And so, but even with this game, it's still going to be a tune-up. No matter how much Jacksonville has come prepared to play this game or come prepared to not play this game, it's still going to be a tune-up for us. And we have to go out there and we have to perform. Like, we have to perform like this is an actual game that we're playing for a playoff spot for. Because essentially we are really still playing for a playoff spot. Sunday's loss, we didn't clinch the division, but we were still able to get a playoff spot secured because one of the teams lost or whatever. And so right now, we're going to be in the playoffs are going to be like after this weekend. And the Texans need to realize that they're going to be after this weekend, and where we land at could be very, very important. To me, this is still a young team, and so them getting like a home field advantage is probably going to be a little bit um, more important as opposed to just like getting into the playoffs. If this was an older, veteran team, um, I wouldn't say like too old, but maybe like mid old, like mid 20s, early 30s type of old. I would say they could probably go on the road, and it wouldn't matter. They can knock some teams off, and not only that, if it was not even so much a veteran team, but they were more of an elite team. Don't get me wrong, the Texans are good, but they're not like an elite team. They're not like a Patriots or Steelers who can probably afford to like dip out on a game this weekend and slide down to like the fifth or sixth seed and still end up in the conference championship at the end of the year. Texans are far from that. They got a long ways to go to be that, and they might do be that in the future, but they're just not there yet. So what I would say is they have to go out here this Sunday and they have to perform, and they have to make sure that whatever they do, that they execute. Whatever plays are called, they have to make sure that they're running the plays. They're you know picking up the blocks, watching the matchups or whatever it is, whatever they got to do. They just have to make sure that they execute it properly. And so that's going to be pretty much the basis of like this whole tune up idea. It's just tuning up, making sure that their performance is straight. Once they get in those playoffs, then they don't have too much to worry about other than like how they can win this game. Because it'll more than likely be different ways that they'll have to pull out to win these games this postseason. So we'll definitely see about that. So with that being said, I want to jump right into the keys to winning this game. Basically, it's three keys that they got to do to win this game. Number one, do not let the pressure take over. So the first and foremost, there's not even any pressure on the Texans. Not a lot, at least. They already had a playoff spot already wrapped up, as I said. If they lose, they'll still be in the playoffs. If they win, they'll be in the playoffs, but they'll have the division to go along with it. So, they'll have home field advantage. And so they know that they want home field advantage, but they can't let that pressure of having to have home field advantage just kind of take them over. They have to, just kind of be like, look, we need to go out here and we need to play this game with some playoff intensity, but our attitudes have to, kind of be like, we're not going to let it get us out the moment. It has to be like, this is a regular season game, which it is, but more like they have to act like it's a week 9 game or something like that. They cannot just get the pressure of like getting home field advantage, just take them over and just take them out of the mindset. But other thing they need to do on there, as far as like not letting the pressure take over, is just play the game in front of them. There's so many playoff scenarios in week 17 going on. So many games getting flexed in the 3 o'clock, in the 7 o'clock, all this other stuff. So much stuff being moved around because of different playoff scenarios. But at the same time, the Texans can't really worry about that. They have to play the game in front of them. They cannot overlook the Jacksonville Jaguars because Jacksonville, like I said, that season is done. It's been horrible. It's been trash for most of the year. And so there's nothing better they would like to do than to go in here and just, knock the Texans, off of their little playoff run or whatever, mess things up for them. So if the Texans can not look past the Jacksonville Jaguars, they can definitely secure that home field that they're wanting at least for the first round. Continue to terrorize Bortles. That's number 2. So in the first game of the season, Blake Bortles got benched in the first half or after the first half of the Texans game. So basically he didn't really come back until I think he might have had one other appearance before this game for the game this weekend, but yeah, last weekend they finally put him back, and he helped lead them to a win or whatever. So I would say we still got to go after him, still got to terrorize him. Right now, there's a lot of murmurs about where his career is going to go. So, people are going to like kind of take shots at him. He's definitely not take shots at him, but he's definitely going to try to be fighting for the direction of his career, showing his current owners like, hey, I'm still good, I can still play. But it's probably going to show like future teams like, hey, listen, I'm good. I probably don't fit in the system or whatever, whatever. But I can still ball out. So we definitely have to continue to terrorize them. Make sure we shake them up a little bit and let them know like it's just because it's the last game of the year and we got all these playoff situations happening for us. Doesn't mean you just come in here and we're just gonna sleep on you. So they have to come in and get them. Number three, do not worry about putting the game away early. So basically, it's like this, man. Just stay focused on the game plan. If the game plan calls for certain situations, you got to run the football. Call something for Deshaun so he can run the football, or do like a run pass option type of deal and run the football from that. Do not, do not, do not, do not lose sight of the game plan. Don't try to go out of your way to do some extra trick play, uh, mumbo jumbo, and you don't want to get anybody hurt. Which brings me to my next bullet on that. Make sure the players stay healthy for the postseason. Like, listen, we've had so many injuries, and teams they go through injuries all the time. But we've had injuries happen to major players, major stars, and that's part of the reason we're at our record where we are now. It's part of the reason we're not sitting up there among the top two seeds. We're kind of fighting to stay. We're kind of fighting to stay with being either number three or number two. Probably more than likely number three, but we definitely got to make sure the players stay healthy. So, and that all goes back to just staying focused on the game plan. Don't do no extra wild plays. Don't do no freaking wild throws or nothing like that. Just stick to the game plan. Get rid of the ball too, Deshaun. Please. We do not need to have our quarterback hurt going into the postseason. But definitely just stay focused on the game plan and make sure the players stay healthy for the postseason. So that's all I got for today, man. Just to kind of recap for what Texans need to do to win this game. Do not let the pressure take over. Continue to terrorize Blake Bortles. And also, do not worry about putting the game away early. Just follow the game plan. If it calls for you to like put the game away, like just blow them out, then blow them out by all means. But if you feel like what, I don't need to just really blow them out right away. Let me just kind of, milk this clock down, wear this defense down, and, let's just, get our points and get out of here. So that's pretty much all I got for this week. I'm Brandon Simmons from BrandonSimmons.biz. Holla black.